Hello, everybody, and good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Great to see you all here. Hello, hello. It's a pleasure to see you all again. We'll come round and do some quick introductions. I've just done the brief overview. I think our audience here would love to know a little bit more about you all, maybe what your particular areas of expertise are in loyalty and kind of what questions you would like to hear from them. So why don't we go to you first, Matt?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Really happy to be here. So I'm Matt Goldberg. I'm the Director of Pro Strategy and Loyalty for Floor & Decor. We are a leading specialty retailer of hard surface flooring. We're headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, but we have 190 stores all over the country. We're one of Fortune 100's fastest growing companies as we open a new store somewhere in America about every other week. So it's pretty exciting to watch our growth there. We pride ourselves on having the largest in-stock selection, the lowest prices, and the best customer service. I promise this is not a sales pitch to get you to buy more flooring, but if it works, then we're all happy. So for our professional customers, we call them pros, and we have a dedicated pro services team within each one of our stores to really take care of their pros. And so whereas a DIYer, as we call them, a do-it-yourselfer or homeowner, people like us, we might shop once every few years. Our pros could be shopping multiple times a week with us. So our team's efforts are really centered around that pro customer, that segment, and just focused on finding new pros and asking how do we grow loyalty and share a wallet with them. So me and my team, we have our hands in a lot of different areas, but ultimately I'm responsible for helping grow our pro department and hyper-focused on building those tools and technology needed to help us find new pros and then grow that loyalty and share a wallet with our existing pros.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah, all of a sudden, I feel like I need a whole new set of floors after that. Thank you so much.
Great.
And I did want to ask you guys as well, so I'll come back to that. What does loyalty, or how do you define loyalty? Because I think it can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people.
Yeah, in a word, I would say connection. Everything we do through our loyalty strategy is to try to form a deeper connection, or I should say a personal connection with our pro customers. And we believe if we form this connection, we become we become more sticky. And we're constantly looking at our offerings thinking, how do we grow a stronger relationship with our pros so they don't ever want to leave us? And we have quite a few amount of competitors in our industry, but by forming that personal connection and by going after emotional loyalty, we really can stand out and keep our pro customers loyal to us.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much, Matt. That is fantastic. And so, Irene, I guess same set of questions to you as well there, please.
So my name is Irene Sabaha. I work for Treasure Data. We are an international or global industry enterprise CDP. We have clients all over the world, over 450. For those of you who don't know, a CDP is a customer data platform. And what we do is help companies take all of their customer data from various sources and integrate it to really optimize how they use it to do things like generate loyalty, drive loyalty, et cetera. So my expertise is inside of the retail vertical, which is probably why I'm here. I have over 25 years of experience in either consulting to retailers or working for retail, and just have been a kind of a customer experience nerd my entire life, or my entire professional life. I wouldn't say my entire life, but really always just super curious about why people buy, how they buy, where they buy, what drives their behavior, and how to improve that experience for people. It's interesting actually listening to the prior speaker talk about his experience at Sam's Club. Prior to joining Treasure Data in the end of May, I was most recently supporting Sam's Club ecosystem for Nielsen, and very much in tune with that whole seamless experience that Sam's Club is creating, and it's really exceptional. So to answer the question about what loyalty means to me, I don't think my answer is going to be terribly different from Matt. I think it's about connection and creating a really sticky relationship between the brand and the customer. And what does that is going to be slightly different for every consumer. It's just part of why this whole retail landscape is so much fun and so challenging at the same time, because what we talk about in the CDP space, we want the information to be compelling enough or we want to personalize enough so that we drive conversion, but we don't want to be creepy, right? But what's creepy to me and what's creepy to Jesse and what's creepy to Matt, those lines are going to be different for everybody. And it's really identifying what that line is for each individual to create the best experience that matters. So
Absolutely. Maybe the
happy to
question.
be here as well. Excited for the conversation. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, it definitely is. I was going to say maybe the question should be, how do you define creepy? But no, it's really great to get your thoughts on that. Thank you so much. And Jesse, welcome to the stage. Again, I know it's a lot of questions, but over to you, please.
Yeah, sure. So hi, everyone. Again, thanks for having me. My name is Jesse Blount. I'm currently the Vice President of Loyalty and Engagement for National Vision. Now, you may not know National Vision by name, but you may have seen our retail stores, Eyeglass World, America's Best Glasses. I'm new to the company, been there about a month and a half, but prior to that, I have a long history in kind of the loyalty ecosystem, dating back to early times before data was really a commodity or identity was a commodity in the world. I built the Kohl's Rewards loyalty platform back at my time at Kohl's. Been a chief marketing officer, worked for Oracle and ran the CrowdTwist loyalty engine. So I've sat on both sides of the retail side of the business and the product side of the business, all relating around loyalty. And I grew up in retail, 30 years on the retail side of the business. So I love looking at campaigns and building programs. And I think one of the interesting things about in the eyeglass world is we are part retailer, part medical provider. So it's really being able to try to leverage technology around scanning your face and vision and bringing that into loyalty. And from going from apparel retail at Kohl's to product management of a retail platform, I've surrounded myself kind of with data in retail for my whole career. So I think it brings a different perspective on what retail and or specifically what loyalty means to me and means to consumers. And when I talk about loyalty isn't a program. You don't get loyalty from a program that you have. Loyalty is a state of mind, and loyalty is a feeling that a consumer has about your product or brand. Now you may unlock that with a loyalty engine or with a loyalty platform or giving points or awards. But I think it's really about emotion is what drives loyalty. And it's the feeling of, I'm loyal to a pair of shoes because of how they make me feel or how they make me look or maybe how they make my feet feel. That's what makes loyalty to me. And I think, how we do it is dependent on how our customers react and how we engage with them. Maybe they are, maybe it's about engagement or creating engagement outside of a transaction, or maybe it's just simply collecting points. I think that all depends on how your customers behave. And I think my perspective of being from the tech side in a program to the marketing side, I've seen it all when it comes to how customers engage with loyalty. So I think for me, when I define loyalty, it's a state of mind. It's not a program. It may not be earn and burn points, but it is kind of how customers feel.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I'm so excited for this panel discussion after hearing, all those three intros and what loyalty means. I think we're going to get a lot out of this. And I did ask our audience just before they came up a poll, which will get the results up shortly. But I don't want the results to influence this next question I'm going to ask you all. So I asked our audience kind of what their biggest challenge is, or where they would like to see their organization most improve in their loyalty. And I guess another way to answer that is kind of like, what's your biggest challenge at the moment? So I'm going to come around and ask each of you the same question. Maybe I'll stick to the same order. So Matt, over to you. So what is the biggest challenge you're facing when it comes to customer loyalty at the moment? And then once we're done, we'll take a look at those results and see if we're kind of aligned.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think since we're so hyper focused on that personal connection in that pro, I would say awareness is always going to be that first challenge for us.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've built a really great loyalty strategy and a loyalty program, but how do we convince every pro customer of ours that it's worth being part of and worth spending more? At the end of the day, that's what matters. Are we growing incremental sales with them? I think the average person is signed up for 17 different loyalty programs, but a lot of those aren't focused on forming that personal connection with their customers. A lot of them are maybe discount programs disguised as a rewards or a loyalty program. So if you really do have a great loyalty strategy, that can be that first challenge of trying to break through the noise of these other discount programs. Our business model is a little different than most brands in our industry. We don't offer discounts to our pros, which again, everyone in this room should love what I just said, that you have the assurance you're paying the same the top pro, the top pro in our company. And again, I promise this isn't a sales pitch, but the point is, it led a lot of opportunity to capture that wallet share. So that's why we invested in this program. But at first, it was difficult convincing pros or maybe your customers that, hey, this strategy really is different than anything else that you're seeing out there, and it's worth spending more. So I do see that awareness as a challenge. And then I work with a lot of other brands, and I think a lot of brands invest heavily in their loyalty strategy and expect to see a huge lift immediately. But if your end goal is that connection, or as Jesse, said, that state of mind, which is so important, forming that deeper relationship with your customers, loyalty takes time. So, be patient. I know sometimes that's a challenge as well, wanting to see a lift immediately, but loyalty is a long game if you're trying to get that mindset.
Absolutely is. Yeah, it's a long game. Thank you so much. And so Irene, over to you, please.
So being that we are a customer data platform, I think the way we think about what the biggest challenges or what we see is from a different angle. But what we see in retail is a variety of different things, but the single biggest challenge has to do with the tech stack. And for many retailers, it's an old tech stack and hasn't kept up with the speed of change in retail and retail technology. And as a result, the customer data lives in silos in different parts of the organization, and that data is not communicating effectively to get a full 360 view of who the customer is. And that translates also into issues around two kind of issues that are important. One is around identity resolution. So you could have, for example, Matt could have 4 different email addresses and 2 different IP addresses. And so I don't have a full picture of who he is. And that makes it very hard to create a journey, a customer journey that speaks to him and the experience he wants to have. So that's part of this identity issue. And then the other part is simply we don't know who we don't know. And there are a lot of profiles inside of our organization who are simply unknown. And the ability to know who your customers are is critical to driving that loyalty, that stickiness, that connection that we talk about. So I think from my perspective, the biggest challenge is having the right tech and having the right data strategy around that tech to enable the loyalty.
Absolutely. I've heard the phrase, you don't know what you don't know so many times. I've not heard you don't know who you don't know. So that's quite a fun one. Yeah, exactly.
A twist. Yeah, it's a twist. Yeah, just like we say, let's get phygital instead of digital.
Yes.
Which actually is one thing I did mean to mention about this, is that this is the other disconnect, right? Is a lot of sales are happening online, and some sales are happening. Actually, most sales are still happening in the store, but integrating what I buy online to what I buy in the store is critical also. And that kind of goes with that 360 view of the customer, but meant to just kind of bring that in as well.
No, definitely. That's really helpful. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, Jesse, same to you. Always hard to go last on this question. Maybe your challenge has already been listed, but I'd love to get your thoughts still.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I echo a little bit of Irene's sentiment around tying the MarTech stack together. And I really think it's the mass amounts of data that we have available to us now, whether that's browse data, dwell time, clickstream data, purchase data, I think tying all that into our tech stack is key to really building that your loyalty profile. But I think that's part of it in every organization. I've been a consultant in the past, and every organization you walk into can modernize their tech stack, and some have the funding and resources to do that, and some may never have that. But I think looking at tech stack is one piece of it. But to me, I think the biggest challenge that marketers have around loyalty is creating engagement outside of the transaction. When you have a captive audience making a purchase or voting for your brand, it's easy to create loyalty. You can dangle that carrot out there in numerous different ways. But I think how do you create engagement with someone outside of their normal life cycle purchase? So whether it's an eyeglasses where it's maybe once a year you get a new pair or longer, or if it's mattresses where it's 8 years, or if it's apparel retailer where maybe it's 15 times a year. How do you create that engagement outside of the transaction? I think is key, and I think that's really what makes, to Matt's point, that's what makes loyalty sticky. Is how do you create that? How do you create activities or engagements or top of mind or mind share for a customer for your brand? Or we used to say in retail, brick and mortar, how do you make the driveway decision to turn left to go to Kohl's or right to go to Macy's? How are you making that decision? And I think having a transaction is one point, but creating value outside of the transaction, whether that's through surveys, polls, quizzes, engagements, just different ways to keep that customer or keep your brand top of mind with that customer, I think is a key challenge right now that loyalty faces, because of what Matt said. Is it's so hard to break through. So if I can break through during a transaction, that's great. But if I can break through to you when you're not in a transaction mode, I think that's what creates a mind share that we need to focus on in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. What I'm really hearing is it's an art and a science, and it takes a really long time and it's really hard. So I'm hoping by the next portion of this panel discussion, we can come up with some solutions and really guiding the audience through. But I'd love to have a look at those poll results now, please. So what we're going to do is bring them over here and see what our audience would like to see their organization do better at. And the majority say loyalty programs. Very interesting, actually. It'd be fun to know if you already have a loyalty program and you want it to be improved, or maybe you don't have one yet. Please do let us know in the chat, or as I always say, better yet, put your hand up and come and join us on stage. And 27% saying something else. So again, please do let us know what that is. So this is really interesting. And the top two at 12%, improved customer service and utilizing customer reviews. So what's your take on this? I know some interesting options there compared to what we've just talked about. But Matt, coming to you, does that surprise you at all?
No, not at all. I mean, look, loyalty programs are all the rage right now. A lot of brands have them, but as I said, there's a lot. It's so hard to break through that noise. So how do you really invest in it, whether you're making a tier strategy or just introduce more personalization or connection to your technology? I mean, there's so many. I think a lot of times loyalty programs get reduced to just like a rewards program, but it is so much more than that. And I keep going back to what Jesse said. It really resonated with me. It is that mindset. It's that cultural mindset that you have with your loyalty strategy, but you're trying to convince your customers to. And we talk about it all the time as well. What Jesse said is, you're driving down the road, you need to pick up, a bag of mortar. You can do it at the big box retailer, or you can think, oh, you know what, I can get my points, or I have a good relationship with this associate at my floor and decor store, so I'm going to go there. And so, that does not shock me at all that the biggest challenge or opportunity was investing in loyalty programs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I just add, I think,
yes.
sorry.
No, please.
I mean, I think having a loyalty program right now, honestly, that's like the price of, that's like baseline. Like everybody has a loyalty program. And to Matt's point, there's a lot of noise. And because everyone has a loyalty program, really it's how do I optimize? And I think what Jesse said is like so critical around, how do I find the opportunities to gain mind share when I'm not actually making the purchase, right? And, also not a sales pitch, but that's when having that 360 view of your customer is so incredibly valuable because it really creates this journey and allows you to provide an article of interest to a customer who might be doing research, or to feed or ask questions or engage, not just at the point of purchase, but throughout the journey. And so I'd be interested to hear from the audience, actually, are they really interested in a loyalty program or how to level up their existing loyalty program? That would kind of be the question that I have.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do come up and let us know. We'd love to hear from you guys. Get up here now. Jesse, over to you. I'd love to get your take on the poll as well then, please. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I was a little shocked. Again, I think people tend to run to a loyalty program, and I've built multiple loyalty programs or consulted on loyalty programs and worked for a loyalty engine, but I don't know that loyalty programs are always the answer. I think sometimes it's a marketer's way to say, hey, I'm doing something. I'm building a loyalty program, but loyalty doesn't exist because of a program. Loyalty exists because how you treat your customers, that you have a good welcome series if you do email, or you treat your customers fair and you create opportunities for them to engage with your brand. That creates loyalty. Now, a loyalty program can absolutely help either kickstart that or push it over to the next level or create engagements that weren't there, but it's not a necessity. Being a good marketer and having good practices creates loyalty. And I think a lot of times we as marketers look for a magic bullet in a loyalty program. And if you look at the statistics about loyalty programs, most of them fail. Most of them are not successful because we look at it as a way to, Matt's point, to create a reward instead of create loyalty or create a discount. Loyalty programs can be very costly to an organization because you're giving away margin that maybe you didn't get incrementality that, like Matt described. I think so. I was a little shocked to see that it ranked so high. I'm curious to what the something else is. So I'd love to hear from the panel, or I'd love to hear from the audience about what some of the something else's are, because 30% of you said it's not about a loyalty program. It's not about creating a better customer experience. It's about something else. And so that's my take on it. I think loyalty programs are great. I'm a huge advocate of them, but you have to have the right structure and the right strategy and the right customer to really make a successful loyalty program.
Absolutely. I'm hoping we'll get some audience members up soon to share their thoughts or even some messages in the chat box. So thank you. I'm glad I did that panel then, the poll, sorry. It's really brought some stuff up, but would love to get your thoughts, Matt, on my next question then. And I guess it's around the personalization of these programs. So we've talked at length about how they could be helpful. Half of the audience are hoping loyalty programs will help improve loyalty overall at their organization. So what's your take on making them personalized? And like Jesse just said, really well thought through before just kind of coming up with a program for the sake of it and maybe losing out?
Yeah, great question. You have to make it personalized. I mean, these cookie cutter programs, as Irene said, that's kind of the base. You have to have something in there. But if you want your loyalty strategy to be effective, the goal has to be personalization. We do it a little bit uniquely. So again, within each of our stores, we have a dedicated pro services team, maybe 3 to 5 associates who we are tasking them up, our associates, with running that engagement. And so at the end of the day, if somebody spends a lot with us, earns points, they redeem their points for a cool prize, that's a cool experience, right? They have a great experience. Hopefully they like Floor & Decor a little bit more. What I'm really hoping for, though, is they love Bill or Mike or Jane or Noel or our specific associates in our stores that were the ones that called them up and said, hey, I saw that you have a ton of points, or I see that, you don't have our pro mobile app. And it's that personal connection that is why I think we're successful. So any place you can introduce more personalization, there's a lot of tier strategies are kind of all the rage now, and a lot of programs are moving that way. That naturally helps. Anytime you can segment out your customer base, it allows you to introduce more personalization easier. But think things like trigger emails when they hit certain criteria, when somebody goes a long time without a purchase and they just came back, or they just used points to redeem for something, or whatever your program has. any place you can introduce that personalization, it goes so far, and that should be the goal of most loyalty strategies.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And we do have a couple of audience questions. I'd love it, tech team, if we could bring Cesare up first. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing your name. We've got Cesare, who is joining from Cinerise, sorry. And this question follows on really nicely from what I just asked. So thank you. I'd love to hear what your question is, please, Cesare.
I have a potentially controversial question, which is, can you do too much to your customers in your loyalty program? So is there a risk that without the necessary analytical background, you might be giving away too much in terms of discounts, in terms of points or redeemable events? Is there such a risk? Do you perceive it, and do you look at it? Do you measure such potential risk?
Yeah, absolutely. Jesse, I might come to you first, just because this is something you touched upon already, please.
Yeah, I think absolutely. There is, loyalty programs have this unique balancing act that they have to play between changing a behavior, and if you have a discounted based loyalty program, and giving too much away. So I think what you have to do in your program is find that tipping point where you can create an engagement without creating a discount or creating a minimal amount of discount. So absolutely, and that's the reason most loyalty programs do fail, is they end up becoming too rich, because there's this idea in loyalty that there's a published funding rate that, I give away 5% or 2% or 10%, or, whatever that percentage that I get from being part of a program or my points value. But that's only what's published. What drives the behavior is what I would call underwater, or it's the part of the program that you're giving a little extra, you're giving double points to a certain set of customers. And if you don't manage that correctly, that's really where you can have this inherent risk of over discounting your program. And so I think, to Matt's point, if you can find that segment of group, and this is where, leveraging the data, to Irene's point and Matt's point of being personalized, if you can spend a little extra money on the folks that you need to move or migrate between your different segments, so let's say a brand lover or a brand believer to a brand lover for you, maybe spend a little more there, but don't spend on brand lovers. They're coming in. And so I think this loyalty program is a balancing act of being able to, influence a behavior without over discounting. And I think some of the best loyalty programs don't discount at all. They create that love for a brand because of, sustainability, because of the giving factor. And then maybe they discount through their loyalty program to a special tier that, that they're trying to migrate. So I think, you can't absolutely over discount in a loyalty program to where your pro forma numbers just don't make the program worth executing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just want to add, Jesse, to what you're saying, because at the end of the day, yeah, you can discount yourself to death. And if it becomes a battle to the bottom, nobody's going to win. No retailer is going to win, and no supplier is going to win, because there's not going to be any money in it. And kind of one of the philosophies that I have around this retail space is, like, the products and services that we buy today are completely fungible, right? I mean, for the most part, with their varying degrees of innovation across a brand. But if you want cookies, you want cookies. And where you go to buy those cookies is, and the cookies could be watches, clothes, whatever, cars, mattresses. Like, where you go depends on the experiences that you have. To Jesse's earlier point, and I'm just going to keep coming back to that. Like, loyalty comes in those moments where you feel different, you feel special, and personalization certainly helps that, but it has to be the right personalization. It can't be halfway personalization, which poor data drives. So absolutely, you can overinvest in loyalty and give away too much.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Really great question. Thanks for asking, Cesare. We'll see you up here again soon, I hope. We do have another audience question as well. We're going to bring someone else up. We've got Ellie from Colart, and we'll probably direct this one to you first, Matt. Ellie, what is your question, please?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. Just kind of on building on this topic, influencing loyalty without price or discount. And Jesse, what you had said earlier kind of piqued my thought on this about adding value outside of the normal purchase behavior cycle. So thinking about adding value before that purchase behavior cycle actually takes place, I was curious if anyone has experience with sampling programs, so either mass sampling or if it can be personalized, what that has looked like, and if there's a trackability element to see if a potential new customer has received a sample and then actually made a purchase, or better yet, become a loyal or repeat customer.
That's a great question.
Yeah. So yeah, I can take this. So samples are a huge piece in the flooring industry specifically. You know, you're not. Hopefully, if you're buying flooring, you want to go into a store, take the sample, take it home, you know, look at it. And so we encourage that. Our Pro Premier Rewards, that's our loyalty program, our members get free samples. So like we want to encourage that. And then it's a big initiative for our company, tracking it, measuring conversion rates, and it's, you know, there's a million different companies that are here today watching, and it's not applicable to everyone, but where you can, it helps. If you get your product in your customers' hands, it makes it harder for them to go somewhere else. And so I highly encourage it where possible.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Thank you. Irene, did you have anything you wanted to chime in on here? Do you have much data on this?
Sorry, I put myself on mute.
No.
Yeah, so yes, you can absolutely track the sample, especially there are a lot of programs now that are putting inserts into packages. Like when you pick up your groceries, you can get something with a barcode on it, and then that's trackable to that particular promotion. And then you have that customer's data, and you can continue to track what they buy, when they buy it, where they buy it, as long, you know, within your ecosystem, and use that data to better target their behavior.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. It's a really good
There's
question.
a lot of A/B testing, I think, that can go into answering your question as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a big question. Thank you so much for asking, and hopefully you can connect with our speakers and you can keep the conversation going offline. Thank you so much, Ellie. All right, we do have another audience question as well. They are coming in thick and fast now. Still probably time for a couple more if you do have one. But for now, let's bring up Taylor from Varsity Spirit. Taylor, what is your question and who would you like to ask it to, please? Thank you.
Hey there. This is really for anybody. We're kind of in an interesting situation at Varsity Spirit. First and foremost, we're a B2B business, but we've really started to scratch the surface on B2C. We kicked off a loyalty program a few years ago for our B2B business. It's a long sales cycle. There's nothing in real time when it comes to tracking the loyalty program. It's kind of a retroactive program. It's really difficult to drive customer or change customer behavior. In the past, what the gift was they get a discount in our B2C e-commerce platform. So we're looking to really revamp what that loyalty program experience looks like, integrating both our B2B and B2C business, because there's a lot of overlap. We sell to cheer coaches in the schools, and of course they want to go on our e-commerce platform and buy things directly.
Great question. Matt, is this something that kind of comes under your umbrella with your pros?
Yeah, a little bit. We're kind of this hybrid of B2B and B2C, because our pros, they have businesses, and so it is a B2B loyalty program. And so we don't, you know, they have so much influence, just like I'm sure that the cheer coaches have so much influence on where these purchases are going to happen. And so, you know, I can't speak a lot about the B2C component to it, but yeah, that it's why, again, our customers might be shopping once every few years. The pros are buying every week. And so they're so important to go after as a segment. And a piece that I don't think we hit on yet is the referral and the word of mouth. And any place, like, you know, for me, forget loyalty programs for a second. If I have a great meal or a great experience at a company, I am sharing that with my friends. And that you can have a great loyalty program or a great marketing strategy, but there is nothing more powerful than word of mouth referrals. And especially for the B2B side, you know, there's a question that gets asked a million times a day across the country. It's, hey, you know, if anybody on this call has ever done a flooring project, either you've asked your contractor, where should I buy my flooring, or they've specifically told you, hey, you should go to this place. And so we are so hyper focused on turning our pro customers into Floor & Decor ambassadors, where all they want to do is refer more people to us, and there's incentives for them to send their customers to us. And so I don't know if that's applicable to your business, but any place you can introduce referrals or things like that on the B2B side, it's huge.
Absolutely. Perfect. Jesse, Irene, did either of you want to chime in? Any more insights here? I think Irene's back on mute. No worries. Oh, Jesse, yes.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think you think about this two-tiered model of having someone who, you selling primarily to a coach who then has an end consumer that, would like maybe to continue the purchase cycle with you. I can relate that to, a sports team or a club sports where, I'm passing down, you might have a relationship with, the person on the sports team that buys the gear, but really the end consumer for you is the mom and dad that has the kid in the sports group. And I think while it's important that while most of your purchase time or purchase energy is sent towards that coach or that liaison to the cheer club, your end consumer is the mom and dad. And so I think if you can create a relationship to both of them, I use my own experience. My son is a club wrestler, and the club buys all the gear, but we are constantly coming back saying, he's growing now, I need to get another size in this piece of it. If I had that relationship with your organization, where I could just go, okay, I can bypass the person that you have the relationship with and go right to you to say, okay, my son is now the next grade up, he needs new gear. You create much of a stickier relationship with me, because at the end of the day, I'm still the one buying. Even though it's a pass through to our account person at our club, I still create that. So, when they switch to a new uniform, I want to be able to go right back to you to buy my next, my next singlet, my next hoodie, my next set of shorts. So I think trying to find a way to bounce over that contact on the B2B side to the parents or to the consumer is key for you to continue to grow that business.
Yeah, perfect.
I'm just going to add to that in the data world, going direct to the customer is what's going to get you the first party data that is so rich in insights about your end user. It tells you about the mom and the dad, and then you get information on this, like the size and the weight. You can get all sorts of insights around, well, how much should we manufacture of this size or that size? And that first party data is super helpful when it comes to thinking about how you innovate your product and in what people might want. So, the coaches tell the kids what to buy, right? And the parents buy whatever the kids tell them to buy. Because I'm also a club soccer mom, so I get this very well. But the extras are what the kids want and what the parents want, and so being able to go direct to them, have the data that tells you what they want, helps you make sure you have the right products, the right assortment and it's very often different items than what the coach is asking you to buy. So.
No, really good stuff.
Awesome.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And after today, you do have a new in for those uniforms. So fantastic stuff. You should all connect on LinkedIn. Keep these conversations going beyond today. Thank you for that great question, Taylor. Good luck with that. Perfect. Well, panel, I am afraid that is all we've got time for today. It's absolutely whizzed by. But as I've mentioned a few times, everyone can connect with you on LinkedIn and such. And I just want to say a huge thank you for your time. It's such a complex topic. We could go for another hour at least, but thank you for your time today. See you soon.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you, everyone.
much.